Perfect. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Again, everybody, do not hesitate to write in the chat. Don't hesitate to do the question and answer. We're going to play around today. At the end of this, I'm really going to ask everybody to let me know what you guys would like during this season, this series. Every single day we want to have one of these videos to help us. The purpose of this is to help us to stay connected, to help us to stay active, help us stay engaged, not only with ourselves as individuals, but also as a community, so that we are all continuing to make progress during these crazy times, so that each one of us knows, but really can feel that we are all in this together. It's not just you and your family on your own. So we're going to make this more of a community thing. And for the first few video series in this series, I will probably be doing the majority of the leading. But our goal at the end of this is to have everybody to be engaged, to everybody to bring in whatever unique gift or words of wisdom or exercise that you have at your disposal. So right now, the most important thing that I think most of us are dealing with is this sense of being kind of out of control, this sense of kind of looming, oh no, there is this thing out there, and what do I got to do about this? And I've got all of these different feelings and different emotions and different thoughts and ideas, and I'm hearing the information coming in from all of these different angles. So how do we deal with this massive amount of information coming in from all different sides, internally, externally, and a lot of that information being very conflicting? It's not all the same. It's not congruent. It's not coherent. So in order to do that, the first thing we have to be able to do is we have to be congruent. We have to have a certain baseline. We have to have a certain level of an ability to use our information processing system so that we're able to filter through all of this conflicting information. And the first place to start is with the information that's on the inside. If the information on the inside is continuing to overwhelm us, then there's no way that we're going to be able to process the information coming on from the outside, because there's a lot more information coming on the outside. So we're going to start with an SRI practice today, and then afterwards we're going to go through a couple of different exercises that some of you have maybe already seen, maybe once or twice if you've come to one of our retreats. But the goal of all of these exercises is to get us to be more present in the here and the now with the information and energy flow that is going on in our internal environment. And again, we always want to start with our internal environment before we move into the external environment. Internal environment is not happy and stable. There is no way we're going to be able to process the information from the external environment. So the first exercise that we're going to start with today is going to be stage 1 of SRI. And anybody that's been to any of our SRI classes, SRI stands for Somato, which is body, respiratory, which is breathing, integration. This is getting our body to be able to process information more coherently by tuning in to some very specific bits of information or information flow. Okay, so we're going to be tuning into our feeling senses, okay, and that can be touch, that can be the emotion senses, that could be a lot of different things, but we're going to link that to our breathing. Now, this might sound a little bit complicated for those of you that this is the first time that you've been exposed to this, or maybe one of the first few times that you've been exposed to it. But one of the principles that we work with is that the more information the more different types of information, the more different perspectives that we can hold simultaneously. Meaning, not we're going to focus on this and then we're going to focus on that, but we're going to focus on this and that simultaneously. The more that we can do that, the more it forces the information that we're processing to be processed at the higher portions of our brain. Now, the higher portions of our brain are where spiritual experiences are processed. They're where joy and love and connection to what's going on around us, really the ability to thrive in life, is all about the upper outer portions of our brain doing the majority of the processing. The lower, more inner portions of our brain, whenever those portions of the brain are doing the majority of the processing, that's really where our survival and instinctual needs are taken care of. And that's very, very appropriate and very important if our survival is truly in jeopardy. But for right now, I know it seems like everything around us is pushing us into, you need to survive, you need to protect yourself. But if you're looking around your room right now, more likely than not, there's not a direct threat to your survival. So we always have access to those inner portions of our brain. However, at this moment, we want to open up. We want to expand. We want to be able to take in multiple perspectives so that we can push all of that information up into the thriving centers, and we can get the most out of what we're going through right now. There are so many opportunities for change that are happening. Yes, this may be scary if we just look at it from one or two perspectives. But this shift that we're going through, this has the potential to be the largest shift that humanity has experienced up until from the very, very beginning. So the more we take these opportunities for growth and for transition during this downtime, on the other end of this, we're going to be able to walk away from this with so many more skill sets, with so much better of an ability to connect, to be interrelated, not only with our personal selves and our personal environment, but with ourselves as a community and our environment. So our goal in all of this is going to be to walk away from this with as much thriving so that we can share the gifts, we can share the understanding and the wisdom that we've gained through this time with other people that may not have the opportunities that you do, to other people that are going to be staying in survival mode this entire time that we're kind of locked down, which is going to be very, very destructive to their body, to their mind, and we're going to need a lot of healers that are going to be coming through this on the other side. And you guys are those seeds of life that are going to be able to just do a little bit, just to plant a little idea and let that idea kind of take hold and kind of grow. But in order to do that, each one of us has to be in a thriving mentality. If we're in a surviving mentality is not about sharing. Surviving mentality is not about planting seeds for the future. It's about right here and right now. So the most important thing we can do for ourselves, our family, and our society is to get into this thriving mindset. All right. So stage one of SRI is really the first step into getting into that thriving mindset. And whenever you are planning a road trip, whenever you're planning a journey, the first thing that you have to acknowledge is, where are you now? It does not matter where you want to be. If you don't know where you are right now, you're not going to be able to plot an accurate course. Okay, so the first stage of SRI is the stage that is the most survival based. It's the most grounded in, oh no, oh no, oh no. The first stage of SRI is suffering. Okay, and most of us spend the vast majority of our time trying to avoid suffering. And unfortunately, by avoiding suffering, we also avoid acknowledging and accepting where we are right here, right now. And by doing that, because we refuse to value where we are, we mess up our ability to get to ideally where we want to be. Okay. So whenever we're in stage one, this is not about giving ourselves permission to just wallow in suffering forever. It's giving ourselves the fuel. It's giving ourselves the information and the awareness to be where we are. And whenever we can acknowledge and when we can truly be where we are, we're not wasting our energy trying to accomplish things that are not going to happen. And by just stopping the waste of energy, we are giving ourselves more potential, more energy to be able to move on. Okay. But we're not going to be able to change what we don't value. So today is really all going to be about valuing suffering, valuing pain, valuing being distraught and being hopeless, because there are going to be situations in which we get into, some of us are in them right now, in which we are going to experience all those things. We have to acknowledge that. We have to own that. When we own suffering, when we become masters of suffering, guess what? We don't have to stay there very long. And life does not have to slam us into there because we're spinning our wheels trying to do everything except be here now. And here now is the only time and the only place that you will ever be. It is the only time and the only place you will ever be able to have an effect. The past is a memory, okay? The future is a thought or an idea. Right here and now is when we have the potential to be productive. And in order to be productive, we got to own where we are, okay? So the first part of this exercise, okay, is the acknowledgement. All right. The whole point of this exercise is not to create a change, not to make something happen, but just to be with what is. Okay. So whatever you're experiencing, just be with it. Okay. If you're over here doing this breath and you're like, wow, I'm not experiencing anything. Guess what? That's what you're experiencing. You're experiencing nothing. You're experiencing confusion. You're experiencing the desire to have an experience that you're not actually having. So no matter what your experience is, just let it be. Okay. We call this the 3 A's, and the 3 A's are the first step in being able to make a change. And the first A is number 1, become aware. Just be aware of what is. That's it. Number 2, acknowledge what you have become aware of. And then number 3, accept what you have just acknowledged. If you can become aware, acknowledge, and accept, you are providing your subconscious, your body, your mind, those parts of you that you're not typically used to being in control of, you are providing those parts of you with more energy that can make a change. And let's be totally honest, those parts of you end up running your show more often than the conscious parts of you. The conscious part of you it can process very, very small amounts of information. Your subconscious is processing information at a much, much faster rate and a lot larger quantity. Okay, so just like in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if the lower, more baseline instinctual needs have not been met, we are not going to be able to progress into the higher levels. And the higher levels are really where most of us want to be. Okay, so once we have understood that today is all about accepting what is instead of making a change, okay, the next thing that we're going to do, okay, is we're going to focus on feeling. Okay, with our hands, we're going to place our hands at the very, very top of our chest. Okay, during this, we're going to breathe directly underneath our hands in these 3 different areas. Okay, but we're going to first start at the very, very top. Okay, and in being aware, there are going to be certain things that if we focus our awareness on are going to be more productive than other things. Okay, so the 3 different options that we have to focus our awareness on is number 1, the breath. Can you feel the quality of the breath that you have whenever you're breathing into these different areas? We're going to breathe in the nose And we're going to breathe out our mouth. And while we're connecting to this part of us, we are going to just pay attention to what is the quality of our breath right up underneath our hands. Okay. The other strategy that we have at our disposal is going to be the movement. So as we breathe in and as we breathe out, what is the quality of the actual movement, of the expansion, of the contraction? Really get in there and give as much focus on the movement as you possibly can. How much movement can you get out of this specific area without straining, without struggling? Okay, and the last strategy is going to be the flow of energy throughout your body. One of the things that I've been focusing on recently, okay, is as I'm breathing into this spot, I'm feeling that flow move down the front of my body, wrapping around in between my legs. And then as I'm exhaling, just relaxing up the spine with the exhale. So feel that flow coming all the way in. And then as you exhale, coming all the way out and relaxing the spine. Okay, so one of those three was really easy for you to pay attention to. One of those three was really easy for you to stay connected with. You could feel that the entire breath. Another one of those is going to be the most challenging. Okay, whether or not you were aware of the one that's most easy or whether or not you were aware of the most challenging. If you know which one was the most challenging, don't use that one. Just go ahead and put it aside. Don't even pay attention to it. Okay. If you know which one was the easiest, that's the one that I want you to start with. Okay. And you're going to stay with the easiest and the second easiest for you to continue to stay connected with. All the way in and all the way out. Okay. And regardless of which one you're paying attention to, whether it's the breath, whether it is the movement, whether it's the energy flow, breathing all the way in, fully into this spot, right up underneath the hands. As you let go, we're going to pay attention. We're going to connect. We're going to find how easy is it to let go completely? How easy is it to let the breath out completely at this area? How easy is it to relax the movement completely sinking into this area? How easy is it to let go totally up the spine if we're paying attention to the energy flow? Okay. Now we're going to move on to the next spot. Breathing all the way in. The next spot is going to be right over the diaphragm. The ribs are going to come up and they're going to meet right at the center here. So here's my sternum. My ribs go out right where the bottom of the sternum and the ribs meet. We're going to put our hands right over that soft space that's right below the hard space, palm over palm. And we're going to breathe into and out of, again, paying attention to the movement, paying attention to the breath, paying attention to the energy flow. At this spot, how easy is it to exhale and drop all the way in? How easy is it to let go in that movement and relax into this spot? How easy is it to exhale and feel that energy flow flowing out through the top of the head, letting go of the palm. Breathing all the way in and all the way out. And then the last spot is going to be right over the belly button. Inhaling only underneath the hands, moving only underneath the hands, feeling the energy flow as it flows down the body, really specifically underneath the hands. And as we exhale, right at the very back where the hands are. Okay, but we want to keep our focus right where our hands are. We want to feel our body with our hands. We want to feel our hands with our body. How easy is it to find the place of peace, to find the place of relaxation, to find the place of full exhale at this spot right here? In the nose out the mouth. Now moving back up to this second spot, comparing the belly button to the solar plexus. Which one of these, and you can go back and forth if you want to, which one of these are you able to let go into the easiest? Identify which one of these two spots can you connect to the peace, can you connect to the calm, can you connect to the relaxation the most? Once you've identified which one of these spots can you relax into and is the most peaceful, the most at ease, now move up to that very, very top spot and differentiate, feel the subtle nuances between these bottom two spots and this very top spot. Go back and forth. And it may be subtle, and that's totally fine. You may notice that each one of these spots feels so similar. It's like I can't really feel which one can I relax into, but one of these I noticed that I'm a little bit more confused about. One of these just kind of seems like a little bit numb, and I'm less sure of this one than I am maybe the other ones. Okay, the one that you're confused about, the one that you're a little bit less sure of, that's not the one that's going to be the easiest to connect to. Okay, so the one that you have the most confidence about, that's the one that we want you to stay with. The one that you know that you can relax into. The one that you know you can let go into. The one that you know that you can exhale into. The one that you know is the easiest for your entire spine and body to let go during the exhale. That's the one that I want you to stay with. Okay, we're going to call this one our most connected or our favorite spot. Breathing in the nose and out the mouth. Wherever that spot is, don't judge it. Just be with it. And as we go through this, you might notice it starting to change, and that's totally fine. Just be with what is, and what is may be changing, and that's totally fine. Now, once we've identified which spot is the easiest to connect to, the one the most peaceful, the one the most relaxed, the one that the body melts into, the energy flows the most effortless with, okay? Once we found our favorite spot, now what we're going to do is we're going to identify which one is the most challenging spot. We want to compare and contrast. Do this at your own pace, paying attention to each spot, and identify which one's the most connected and which one is the least connected, or the hardest to relax into, or the one that causes the most confusion, the most annoyance, the most distraction. Okay, we heal through contrast. Our brain operates on contrast, either brain cell fire or brain cell not fire. It's all about black compared to white. If we don't have a full connection to white, we actually neurologically won't be able to experience black. Okay, so our ability to heal, our ability to change, our ability to move towards what we want is very much tied to the ability to feel the opposite. So when we experience a contrast in our body, okay, then we no longer need to have the world outside of us force that contrast onto us so that we can change. We can heal, we can change by experiencing contrast just within ourselves. And the more able, the more adept, the more effortlessly, the more efficiently we are able to change and to heal, the less challenges and troubles we're going to experience in our life. We'll experience the challenges, but they won't need to be near as intense. We'll experience trouble, but they won't need to be nearly as disruptive because we're going to be so good at change. All right. So now that we've identified where our favorite spot is, and we've identified where our least favorite or our most connected spot is, okay, we're going to call our favorite spot, spot number 1, wherever that is. We're going to call the middle spot, the spot that's maybe not our favorite, but it's also not our least favorite. We're going to call that spot number 2. And then we're going to call our least favorite or most disconnected spot, spot number 3. So everyone move to your favorite spot. All the way in, all the way out, really diving into, really connecting, really owning, really embracing, really being totally enveloped in that space or that place of total surrender, total peace, total ease. That's where the most energy is. We want to stay with where the most energy is. All the way in and all the way out. Dropping in and connecting. And staying connected to that place of peace or ease. During the next breath, we are going to just acknowledge and just admit that sometimes life seems this way. Sometimes I seem this way. If we cannot acknowledge and admit that sometimes I seem helpless, we're not going to get to the point where we're actually able to open up and receive help. Okay, if we never get to the place where we can acknowledge and admit that it seems like nothing's working, then we're not going to get to the place efficiently where we stop what we're doing and open up to the possibility that we may need to try something else. Okay, if we cannot open up and admit that sometimes in life it seems like things will never change, it's going to be very hard to stop doing the things that we're doing that's not working. Okay, so again, in this, when we say these affirmations, we're not giving ourselves permission to stay helpless. We're just acknowledging that sometimes it seems like I'm helpless. Sometimes it seems like nothing's working. Sometimes it seems like things will never change. All right, so we're going to take a big deep breath in the nose and out the mouth, dropping into that place of peace and ease. And before the next breath, we're all going to say together, sometimes it seems like I'm so stuck. Breathing all the way into this place that we're connected to and dropping into the place of the peace and ease during this process. Sometimes it feels like I'm completely helpless. All the way in, dropping into the place of peace and ease, letting go into the fact that sometimes we need help. Sometimes it feels like nothing will ever change. Breathing all the way in, fully expanding, fully breathing and letting go, dropping in, letting go, totally surrendering. Sometimes it seems like I just can't do it. All the way in, and all the way out. Now, during that process, you'll probably notice that after one of those affirmations, you were able to drop in a little bit deeper. Okay, and there's some meaning behind one of those affirmations and why it helped you to let go and surrender, connect to a little bit more. And we can get maybe into that during the question and answer session. So if you have any questions to that, just remember that, and we're going to come back to that a little bit later on. Okay. But if you noticed that there was a shift in this area, if you noticed that one of those affirmations, one of those breaths allowed you to drop in and relax and become a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more at ease, then we're going to move on to spot number 2, which was the area in the middle. Wasn't the most connected, but at the same time, it wasn't the least connected. Breathing all the way in, really feeling this area and letting go completely. Now move back up to spot number 1. All the way in. dropping into that place of peace and ease and connection, all the way in, fully find the boundaries, find the borders of where that fullness is, and letting go completely, letting go of the energy, letting go of the movement, letting go of the breath, feeling the complete surrender. One more time, all the way in and all the way out. Now moving down to spot number 2 again. All the way in and letting go all the way out. Dropping in, dropping in, dropping in, dropping in. And back to spot number 1. 1 for 3 more breaths. Feeling the fullness and then dropping in. Letting go, letting go, letting go. And again, all the way in. Fully and letting go and letting go and letting go and letting go. And last time, all the way in. Now this exercise can be done and letting go while we're laying down or while we're sitting down or while we're standing, it doesn't matter. Now moving to spot number 2, repeat after me. Sometimes I feel so stuck. All the way in. And letting go, noticing the quality of the exhale, the quality of the relaxation, the quality of the energy flow. Moving back to spot number 1, all the way in, feeling that contrast between spot number 1, feeling the contrast and the peace and ease between spot number 1 and spot number 2. All the way in and all the way out last time, letting go. And before we take the next breath, moving to spot number 2, sometimes it seems like I'm so helpless. Breathe all the way into spot number 2. Expand it all the way, fill it up all the way, let the energy flow all the way, and let go and surrender all the way. Notice the quality of the peace and the letting go. Last one, spot number 1. Breathing all the way into spot number 1, letting go, letting go, letting go. Breathing all the way into spot number 1, filling it up completely, letting go, letting go, letting go. Last one, all the way into spot number 1, letting go, letting go, letting go. Right at the very, very end, move to spot number 2, and repeating after me. Sometimes it seems like things will never change. Fully engaging into spot number 2, breathing all the way in, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. And back to spot number 1. Feel spot number 1 through the full inhale and the full release. Is there anything different about spot number 1 from where we first began? Now moving down and checking into spot number 2, all the way in fully, and letting go and letting go and letting go and letting go. Is there anything different about spot number 2 from whenever we first started? What do you notice whenever you're connecting to spot number 2? You don't need to judge it. You don't need to figure it out. Just is there or is there not a difference in the way that you're breathing, in the way that your body's moving, in the way that the energy flows, in the way that spot number 2 feels? It doesn't matter where the difference is or what the difference is, just matters, is there a difference? Back to spot number 1. We always want to go where the energy is. Whatever we focus on, we energize and we expand. So if we focus on what's working, we will get more of what's working. If we focus on what's not working, guess what? We're going to get more of that too. Okay. So now, even though we did not work with spot number 3, even though we did not work directly with the spot of the least connectedness, move down to spot number 3, where it was least connected, and just tune in. How easy is it now to drop into, to relax into, to surrender or flow into spot number 3, even though we didn't directly focus on it? Is there a difference in spot number 3 now than whenever we first started? All the way in and all the way out. And that's stage one. So everyone just relax. Feel the space around your body. Let your arms drop to the side. Just breathe normally, breathe effortlessly. Let your body do the breathing for you. And what do you notice about the space around your body right now? So many times throughout the day, we get so caught up and so anxious, so stressed, and we will automatically put the blame onto that space around it. Oh, I feel this way because of that out there. But in reality, it's really what's going on inside of us that then we give ourselves permission to experience and to express only whenever there's something around us that we can say, yes, it's this. So what I want you to acknowledge and to feel and to experience right now is just by changing your relationship, your connection with your body, you've also changed your relationship and your connection to the space around your body. And whenever you have peace and calm, no matter what's going on around you, you could be in the middle of people shouting at each other. But if you experience the space around you as peace and calm, if you experience the space inside of you as peace and calm, it doesn't matter the circumstance that you're in. You're going to be able to approach whatever scenario with the most higher brain function that you can achieve. That's what this really is all about. All right, so we're going to do one more quick exercise. That first exercise, stage one, is to really bring in a sense of peace, a sense of ease, a sense of calm, regardless of what's going on around us, to energize us to break free from the stuckness that we can easily get into whenever we are suffering, whenever it seems like nothing's working, when it seems like we're totally helpless, when it seems like we're stuck, when it seems like things are not going to change. Okay, this next exercise is going to be a little bit more energizing. It's actually going to get both halves of our brain connecting to each other so that as we're processing this information, we're not only processing information, the upper portions of our brain, but we're actually going to be able to process information with the two halves of our brain at the same time. All right. So this one, we are going to need to stand up. So I'm going to go ahead and put my computer over here. Hopefully everything stays connected during this. So what we want to do with this, okay, and we want enough space around us that we can spread our arms out, because our goal in this is going to be to get kind of into a lunge position. I'm going to show you like this. Okay, so whatever leg that you have in front, you want your opposite arm to be in front. And whatever leg you have behind, you want your opposite arm to be behind. So your legs are going to stay in this lunging type position where the front leg is going to be bent, where if you look straight down your knee, you'll be able to see your toe. And the back leg is going to be straight, but you only want your legs as far apart as you can keep your back heel on the ground. If you're lunging and your back heel's coming up, that means that your stance is too far apart. So if that means that you're here, great. If that means that you're here, great. If that means that you're halfway through a split, fair enough, great. Whatever works for you. Okay, so whenever we get into that lunging position, again, whatever leg is in front, we want to put our opposite arm in front, and our palms on both sides are going to be pointed down. Whatever leg is behind, we're going to put our opposite arm behind. And so we are going to be reaching forward with our arms, and we're going to be reaching forward with our opposite knee, and the other arm is going to be reaching back, and the other leg is going to be reaching back. So as half of us, as the upper half is moving in this direction, the lower half will be moving in the opposite direction. So we're going to kind of get a little bit of a twist, and we're going to get a little bit of a stretch, okay? So as we're in this position right here, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our head, take our ear, and we're going to put our ear close to the shoulder of the arm that's out in front of us. So we're going to tilt our head down, almost like you're looking right through your fingers on the arm that's pointed in front, almost kind of like a sight on a gun or a telescope lens or a camera lens. Okay, and as you're looking down your arm, you'll notice that one of your eyes is on top and the other eye is on the bottom. So just like if you're looking through a camera lens or the sight on a gun, you're going to close the eye that's on top and you're going to keep the eye that's looking closest to your arm down. Okay, now as you're stretching in front and as you're stretching behind, both with your arms and with your legs, you've got your top eye closed. You're going to take a big deep breath in the nose and out the mouth. Stretching, 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 stretching. Big deep breath in the nose and out the mouth. Stretching, 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 stretching. One more big deep breath in the nose and out the mouth. Stretching, 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 stretching. And you're going to relax your arms. You're going to keep your feet where they are. So this is a balance exercise, but you're going to pivot. So you're turning in the opposite direction, which means your opposite leg that was in front last time is now going to be in front. And same thing with the opposite arm, you're going to come in front like this. Okay. Now, same thing on this side. We're going to tilt our head so that we're looking down the arm. Palms are going to be facing the floor, palm down. We're going to stretch and reach with our arms and our legs. We're going to tilt our head straight off to the side. We're going to close our top eye. We're going to take a big deep breath in the nose, stretching, 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 and out the mouth. Stretching, stretching, stretching. In the nose, stretching, 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 out the mouth. Stretching, stretching, stretching. One more. In the nose, stretch, 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 out the mouth, and relax. Okay? And same thing, pivot around to the opposite side, opposite arm, opposite leg in front, keeping that lunge. Tilt the head towards the arm and shoulder that's in front. Close the top eye. Big deep breath in the nose. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Out the mouth. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Big deep in the nose. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Out the mouth. Stretch, stretch, stretch. One more. In the nose. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Out the mouth and relax. And pivot around to the opposite side. One again on this side. Tilt the head so that the ear is close to the shoulder of the arm that's in front, closing the top eye, big deep breath in the nose, stretch, 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 out the mouth, stretch, 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 in the nose, stretch, 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 out the mouth, stretch, 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 one more breath in the nose, stretch, 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 out the mouth, stretch, 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 and relax. Last time on the very beginning side, stretching, tilt the head, close the top eye, big deep breath in, stretch, 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 out the mouth, stretch, 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 in the nose, stretch, 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 out the mouth, stretch, 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 in the nose, stretch, 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 out the mouth, and relax. And last time, over to this side, big deep breath in the nose, stretch, 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 out the mouth, stretch, 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 in the nose, stretch, 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 out the mouth, stretch, stretch, stretch. One more time, in the nose, stretch, 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 out the mouth, and relax. Now pay attention to how the body feels at this point. Pay attention to how the air, the space around the body feels. Comparative to the first exercise, I'd be willing to bet that the space around you probably doesn't necessarily feel bad, but there's maybe a little bit more energy in it. There's maybe a little bit more charge to it. It'll probably have some of that peace and calm quality, but it'll also be a little bit different. So right now, we're going to open it up, bring everybody on. So you can type in the comments. You can unmute yourself if you want. Everybody's permitted to talk, but you may need to unmute yourself.
That was pretty impressive.
Good. That's what we were going for.
That last bit was definitely different and definitely gave you some different in the outer parts, like you were saying. How does the air feel around you?
Yes. We want that peace and calm, but at the same time, we want to be able to have the ability to get energized also.
Awesome.
So does anybody else have any comments? Anybody else really feel?
Oh, hi, Connie.
Hello.
Hey.
So I noticed when we first did that last exercise on the first go around, I was like super unbalanced on one side.
Yes.
And it only took like one session, and then I felt balanced on each side. So I thought that was cool.
Now, I don't know who still has their pajamas on, but if you at least have a shirt on, at the very bottom of your screen on the left-hand side, right next to the mute button, you'll see the little button that says stop or start video. Feel absolutely free. Again, having this connection to others, being able to see others as a real person is really, really key for this. So if you feel comfortable, please, and you have the ability to turn your video on during this. So if there's anybody else that wants to share an experience, please do so. But does anybody have any questions? And the questions that you have, they can definitely relate to what we just learned, but they do not have to. They can be any question that you possibly have. If it's about health and functionality, more than likely I'll be able to help you out. But you know what? If it's about something totally different, please put that question forward. I may not have the answer, but maybe somebody else does in the group. And if nobody else in the group has it, then guess what? We get to go do some research and learn a little bit. So does anybody have any questions whatsoever about anything?
So if we get to the point that those 3 spots are, there's so minimal change, do we move to different spots?
You can move to different spots. My recommendation, though, would be to move on to the next stage. We'll move on to stage.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever you get a lot of congruence and they, each one of them changes, that's really the goal in all this. They may get to feel more similar, they may not. But if you can experience a change in each one of these 3 spots, then you're ready for stage 2. And we'll get into stage 2 tomorrow.
I've got some questions that popped up on the Facebook side that I figured I'd bring up to you.
Yes.
Tasha says she thinks she pulled a muscle.
Uh-oh.
And then she says she definitely feels the energy. And I think you already answered Tasha's question because she said, should the 3 different places end up balancing out?
And they definitely can balance out. But what our goal is change. Because again, what we're looking for, especially in stage 1, is contrast. And so if you can contrast how it felt from the beginning, and there's a difference from how it felt to the end, you've accomplished the goal of stage 1.
Awesome. And then the other question that I have on here is from Caroline. And she said, why would the brain balance exercise make her tired?
Well, the brain balance exercise may make you tired because we're used to working in one half of the brain, like maybe the logical thinking part of the brain, more so than the feeling part of the brain. So whenever the feeling part of the brain is finally able to get some of that information and start making some communication and working with the other half of the brain, you may acknowledge that there's a little bit of overworking going on or a little bit of a need to heal going on. So we just recognize that not always energizing in the way that we think energizing is supposed to be, where it's like, wow, I just drank a Red Bull, I'm so energized. Sometimes energizing means that your body has enough energy to heal, and therefore the appropriate response is that you're tired and so high energy is not the goal. What we want is we want coherence, which means the energy is very, very steady and productive. And steady and productive is not.
Makes sense.
Anybody else?
Zach has a comment that he was laughing really hard at the end.
Good. Good. If we got you laughing, Zach, that means you're not too stressed out. That's one of the signs that we got you into the thriving mindset. And that's definitely one of your gifts, Zach, is you can, whenever you get there, you can help other people get there very, very quickly with your amazing sense of humor.
Awesome. He also asks, what do the digital one-on-one sessions entail?
Oh, the digital one-on-one sessions entail whatever we need in order to make the shift that needs to happen. So there's a lot of different exercises that we can go through. It just totally depends on what we're working on, what comes up as needing to shift. But I have to say, so far, I have been really almost shocked with how productive and how much change we've been able to accomplish without me touching anybody. Kind of a little ego blow. And I've been using my hands this whole time and I didn't need to. Yeah, the only way to really answer that question, Zach, is to schedule one and get on and just see what comes up and see what kind of change we need to make. But great question.
And then how about for those of us that are, for the people who are watching that aren't active members at Organic Living Chiropractic, are we going to be offering these one-on-one digital consults to them as well? And
yes, that will be an option. That's probably going to be an option either towards the end of this week or the beginning of next week, because we still need to make sure that my schedule can handle all of this, because the one-on-one sessions are a little bit longer than the adjustments that we do over here. And I can't, other than doing it this way, we don't do those, with multiple people at the same time. So right. my schedule is very, very different. But yes, as of right now, with what it's looking like, we'll probably be able to open those up and maybe only a few opportunities per day. We may even open up another day. We haven't fully decided, but look for those options towards the end of the week. We will put, if you're watching this on Facebook, please share this video. Get this information out to as many people as you possibly can. We all need to be coming together. This video will be up on Facebook until I don't think we're going to plan on taking it down. So help as many, if there's anything on this video that somebody popped into your mind that you think they would benefit from this, please share this video, invite them to these daily sessions. Let's get this going. When we open up to doing things in different ways, we will post that on our Facebook page. If you are not a member of Organic Living Chiropractic, please either private message us, email us your email address so that we can get you on our email list, and then we disseminate a lot of information out that way.
Before we end, there's just a couple more questions to get to here. So Amory said she had a severe wave of nausea after the brain balance exercise. She said it stops, but she's curious why that would happen.
So the areas of the brain that cross the very middle portion of our brain are it's called the archicortex. That's right above our thalamus. That's right above the very top of our brainstem. If we are habituated to using our instinctual centers too much, whenever we start to rise out of those instinctual centers, and the first place outside of those instinctual centers is going to be our archicortex, we're going to start to become aware that our digestive system is not very energized whenever we are in our instinctual centers. If we're running away from a tiger, it does not make much sense to digest our food. So the more in stress mode we live our normal life, the less stimulus, the less energy goes to our digestive tract. And that also means the less healing our digestive tract is going to be able to experience. So once we start to rise out of those instinctual centers, we might start getting a lot of the information that tells us, hey, our digestive tract needs some healing. We need to slow down on the amount of work that we're making us do. A lot of us stress eat. And when we stress eat, we're shoving a lot of stuff into our body, but our body is also not absorbing it. It's not breaking it down. And so all that stuff kind of ends up rotting in the lower portion of our digestive tract rather than being absorbed, because we're not secreting the enzymes. We're not secreting a lot of the digestive juices that break all that stuff down. And we can become aware of that. Another thing is depending on how much your body relaxes. If you're able to relax in the lower areas, which means that they're not supporting the upper areas, and the upper areas are a little bit tighter than they need to be, that's why they needed that support, then we'll become more aware of that tension. And if that tension is right around where our first and our second vertebrae meet, directly under that area of the spine is going to be the nausea center of our brainstem. So a lot of times whenever people come in with especially headaches that are that have a nausea component to it, adjusting those areas can almost instantaneously shift that sensation. So there's a couple different reasons why we can experience it. You know that that's not necessarily a sign of something bad if that sensation came on and then went away. It's only whenever these negative sensations come on and then stay on that we know there's a problem. Okay, so just accept this as new awareness that your subconscious brain is going to be able to work with, and just go with the flow. Well, anything else, Connie?
Let's see here. Just a couple comments. Carlin said she was having trouble breathing at the end of stage 1 because she was yawning too much.
Oh no, somebody needs to rest. That sounds terrible.
And then the last thing I think I see here, let's see, Barbara said something about electromagnetic fields, and she said all goes to the field, right? And Barbara, I'm not exactly sure what you were referring to there, so feel free to turn your microphone on and ask yourself.
Yeah, Barbara, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, well, it's when you mentioned that you didn't know how much you could do from the distance. So that's when you mentioned, when you said that, that's when I put that comment. So
yes. We are, there's two different ways of looking at this. The old way of looking at this is the matter in the universe creates these electromagnetic fields. The more evidence that we're gaining, the more we're starting to understand that the matter is actually a result of these electromagnetic fields, and the matter pops into existence during the crossing of two different fields. So basically, if you think of the magnetic field as kind of ripples in a pond, whenever those ripples or waves cross each other, that's where matter seems to pop into existence. So yes, we are all affecting the field, and we are all results of the field. So space and time is not really what we think or experience it as such. It's very, very different. Hope that answers your question in a non-answery sort of way.
Yes, thank you, Ted. It helps.
Good. Connie, anything else?
Not that I can see. I was just going through the comments on Facebook, and I think that we've got all of them there.
Yeah, and then lastly, Barbara, on your last comment, yes, doing these exercises sitting might have a different result than standing or laying down. So if you're used to doing it all in one way, by all means, feel free to change it up and get a different experience, get more contrast in there. That will drive more change in your life.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be doing these on a daily basis from here on out until the very end of the stay-at-home order. And like I said, please share this in whichever way that you can, because much more of us need to be coming together at this time, because at the end of this entire process, the only way that humanity is going to improve and going to make some changes and overcome some of the challenges we have created is going to be through interconnectedness, through acknowledging that we are all connected. What happens to me affects you. What happens in China affects the US, and what happens to each one of us and what we do affects the environment. So let's stay interconnected. Let's boost up that interconnection, and let's keep this connection going. So love you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you at the same time, same place tomorrow, if not sooner. Say bye, girls.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Tad.
Bye, girls.
Bye.